The Miss South Africa organization has recently revealed their top 24 for Miss South Africa 2026, and it took me a while to put this video together because honestly I just felt like the top 24 for Miss South Africa this year is so strange compared to the women who have made it in previous years. I mean, literally for some of the women who made it, I do not have an explanation, especially when you look at the ones who did not make it, but we'll get to that later. In this video, we are talking about who actually got into the top 24, a bit of my thoughts on them, my first impressions on them, and then also the ones who did not make it, because we know more or less who entered. I made a whole video on my top 10 favorite entries, and I was expecting at least half of those women to make it. They didn't, and you know, some of them were some amazing women who did not make it, so we need to talk about that. And then lastly, I just want to talk about how the Miss South Africa organization has kind of flopped this reveal, to be honest with you. We're going alphabetically, so the first woman who made it into the top 24 at Miss South Africa this year is Alia. Now, Alia is signed with Boss Models in Johannesburg, which is one of South Africa's top talent agencies, and she's also the author of a book named Riot, which is sort of a romantic novel set against South Africa's turbulent past. It's sort of a historical novel, and I love that because you guys know that I love history. I've never been one to shy away from South Africa's difficult history. As a matter of fact, very recently I've been like sort of building my family tree, you know, tracing it all the way back to the mid 1600s when my ancestors first arrived in South Africa. And I've sort of realized on the low-key, I've sort of realized that all Afrikaans speaking white South Africans are a bit related. Not only that, but pretty much all of us are also descended from slaves, because in the very early Cape history there weren't a lot of European women. It was mostly like European men coming to work, and so they were just basically marrying and having children with some of their imported slaves from Indonesia and Malaysia and stuff like that. So we have a lot of that ancestry as well. And this is why I love researching and looking into history myself, because a lot of this is swept under the carpet, especially as apartheid was rolling around and they were having a lot of racially based laws. But anyway, that's besides the point. Back to Alia. So my point is, she's pretty accomplished. I love the fact that she's an author and all of that. She's signed with Boss Models, as I've said previously. So yeah, I think she's great. I just feel like she needs to glam it up a little bit more when it comes to her makeup and her styling. She would really benefit from being a little bit more glam.
Growing up as a dyslexic child, reading and writing did not come easily to me. I was simply a little girl who struggled to find her voice, and then I discovered storytelling. And suddenly I found a voice much larger than my fear. At 16 years old, I wrote a screenplay about the 1949 Durban riots, a painful chapter erased from South African history. I took that story to filmmakers and publishers, hoping that someone would believe in me. Most said no. Some said I was too young, others said South Africans just weren't ready for the story. But I realized something very important. Sometimes the world does not give young people permission to dream loudly, especially in Africa. So I kept writing anyway. Over the next 4 years, I turned that screenplay into my debut novel, Riot, which I published in 2025, the same year I graduated. Soon after, I was selected by Books to Africa as one of 9 African publishers to attend the London Book Fair. And that experience changed my life, because I realized how many brilliant young African voices never reach those rooms, not because they lacked talent, but because they lacked access. As Miss South Africa, I want to partner with Books to Africa to help bring books, computers, and publishing opportunities to underserved communities, while creating national writing competitions that connect young African writers to international publishers and distributors. Because creativity is not a luxury, it's a lifeline. And I want young Africans to know that their voices are worthy of being heard by the world. Because when they are given the tools to tell their stories, they do not only change their own lives, they change the lives of entire communities. I am Alia Koumantarakis, and I'm ready to use my voice, my story, and this platform to help others find theirs.
Next we have Amogelang, who is a speech therapist and an audiologist. Now overall, this is just a first impression. Her social media doesn't seem as curated, I don't know if that's the right word, as you would expect from someone entering Miss South Africa. Of course, there's a certain amount of work that you have to do on yourself, on your brand, before you decide to enter Miss South Africa, and I just feel like that isn't done yet. So overall, I'm not sure about her yet, but she could surprise us all.
Hello South Africa, my name is Amogelang Bunu, born and bred in Mabopane, Tshwane. Our youth has low engagement in sport. The barriers are real. Poor infrastructure, unsafe grounds, and no funding. Soccer dominates and other sports are forgotten. Girls are also left behind, with only 52% of boys participating in school sports and only 18% of girls. As a karateka and a junior world champion, I've lived it. Karate gave me discipline, safety, and a world stage. As a speech therapist and audiologist, I know why. Physical activity stimulates neural pathways in the brain. It boosts language, memory, and it cuts frustrations. Access to safe sports should not depend on privilege or gender. Every child deserves a place to move because movement builds mind, it improves mental health, cognitive function, communication, behavior, and academic achievement. My goal is to create safe spaces where children get to play, engage in sports, and families get involved, while we link talent to opportunities. I'm a mother, a clinician, and a champion. And I believe when we give a child a place to play, we give South Africa a stronger, safer future. Thank you.
Next we have Bonolo. Now, Bonolo is very accomplished academically, but there were a lot of red flags that came up for me when I was, sort of looking into her and trying to decide what my first impressions of her was. First of all, she relies way too much on heavy filters when it comes to her social media. Filters are such a turn off, especially when they are extremely obvious. It just sort of signals a deep insecurity within oneself, which is not something that other people respect or want to see from a potential Miss South Africa. Miss South Africa should at least be comfortable enough with her looks that she is willing to show up on her own social media without having to rely on extremely heavy filters. It's just not necessary. It honestly, when somebody is using too many heavy filters, it just feels like you are trying too hard to be liked and accepted. Why are you trying to overcompensate here by using all of these extreme filters? Just, do your best to look your best, but when it's so obvious that you are using a filter, it sort of misses the point. You know what I mean? Everybody is now knowing that they are looking at a facade. They are looking at something that's not real. And now this makes people distrust you because what are you trying to hide? Why are you trying to hide behind a filter? But yeah, she was a finalist at Miss World South Africa 2023. I think that she would definitely benefit from just trying and challenging herself to show up without having to slap a heavy filter on her pictures, because that just makes people distrust you a lot.
Former First Lady Michelle Obama once proclaimed that success is not how much money one can make, but the difference in which one can make in the lives of others. Dumelang and hello South Africa. My name is Bonolo Motau. I'm 25 years old, a Master of Commerce graduate from the colloquially dubbed Harvard of South Africa, the University of the Witwatersrand, a prospective doctoral candidate, commercial associate at a multinational FMCG, and an alumni of the Henley Business School. My academic journey has always been rooted in purpose. My master's dissertation explored how beauty pageants are transforming into platforms of humanitarian excellence through having activities of social responsibility and environmental sustainability. My foundation, the Marang Foundation, has championed causes towards academic emancipation for women and the youth in underserved communities. Our proudest initiative was registering some 350 students over a period of 5 days for the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, as well as tertiary education, just with the help of 5 student volunteers. This is not just theory for me. This is lived impact. My most urgent mission is to evolve, empower, and ensure that no South African is limited by circumstance. I stand strongly for the social, academic, and economic emancipation of African youth. I am Bonolo Motau, and I am your prospective Miss South Africa 2026. I thank you.
Next up, we have Cwenga, and she is the co-founder of Talita Together, an organization which supports teen moms. This was started in 2022, and Cwenga has been decently active with it. She's been involved with it from the start since 2022 already. And so for me, when it comes to philanthropic endeavors, she's off to a great start. With Miss South Africa not being so internationally focused anymore and being more like a homegrown local type of thing now, I think that having a really good history when it comes to advocacy will definitely be in your favor. Now, does she have the physical characteristics of a Miss South Africa? I think that can be just achieved by anyone. Like, I think when it comes to looks, there's a lot that a woman can do. To go from plain Jane, girl next door, to close to what Miss South Africa is supposed to be. So when it comes to her, I think full glam is a very good idea. Like the type of makeup that she has in her reveal photo, she doesn't have the sort of features where you can just slap on some mascara and lip gloss and call it a day and show up. But there are things you can do. She should also, when it comes to hairstyles, stay away from things that accentuate her forehead too much. The idea is pretty much just to reach an overall state of balance and just use the features you have to your best ability.
Molweni Mzansi, Cwenga, Koyana, Kotu-Rammopo. I'm a 27-year-old social and creative entrepreneur from Johannesburg with my roots in the Eastern Cape. Every year, 150,000 girls in South Africa fall pregnant before finishing school. That is why I created Talita Together in South Africa. We restore dignity to adolescent mothers through education, skills development, mental health support, and teen pregnancy prevention education. My work was selected as a winner of the UNESCO and Women at Dior Dream for Change projects in Paris and recognized by UNESCO, Christian Dior Couture, and the LVMH Group. I represented Africa in the top 3 among young women changemakers globally, and I've brought back the tools and networks to strengthen our impact. Our model is being studied by partners across the continent. I've completed my master's in digital curation at the University of Cape Town, and I use film and digital storytelling to amplify young South African voices. As your Miss South Africa 2026, I'll build a generation of ethical leaders, giving young people the tools to lead, the heart to serve, and the courage to transform our country and our continent. Enkosi, I thank you.
Okay, so next we have Gift, and I'm not gonna lie, the eyebrows in the reveal picture do scare me a little bit. Her features are very racially ambiguous, you know, she seems very Mediterranean, but she's not. She works in aviation. Her goal is to expose youth, especially impoverished youth, to the world of aviation, which is definitely admirable. She founded Kasi to the World, and this was founded on May 5th, which would be like just around the time that she decided to enter Miss South Africa. And you guys know I've been going on and on about this. I hate it when people sort of start foundations or establish things just around when they're starting to compete. You should be starting those sorts of things 2 or 3 years before you even consider entering a pageant. But okay, so this is a bit of suspicious timing, but anyway, it's admirable nonetheless, I suppose. She's also been involved with some other projects, which include handing out sanitary products to girls and things like that. I think she definitely is charming in her own way. She has the personality, but Is she ready for Miss South Africa overall? I don't think that she checks all of the boxes when it comes to what South Africa wants in a Miss South Africa.
In South Africa, unemployment is not just a statistic, it is an everyday reality. We are taught to go to school, get the qualification, and search for employment. Who becomes the employer when we are all job seekers and not job creators? Abusheni, greetings South Africa. My name is Ntimani. I am 24 years old, proudly Cwenga, born and raised in Pretoria with 012 Atteridgeville in the informal settlement Mushongoville, the township known for crime, drugs, teenage pregnancy, school dropouts, and unemployment. I grew up in a community where I looked different from everyone. I was called by different names. If I was someone, I would classify myself as a victim of bullying, but I refuse to define myself by pain. I am a true definition of where you come from does not determine your destination. Today, as I speak, I am a qualified remote pilot with BVLOS rating certified by South Africa Civil Aviation Authority, and I'm currently completing crop spraying and weed control at the Tshwane University of Technology, sponsored by AgriSeta. We are taking agriculture into aviation technology. With all the qualifications I have, I do not wish to be employed. I want to create opportunities, inspire others, and prove that anything is possible. I am the founder of Kasi to the World, which is a non-profit organization that aims to bridge the gap between aviation industry and learners from townships. As your Miss South Africa 2026, I will not simply wear the crown. I will represent the South Africa Rainbow Nation. I will be a voice for unity, a symbol of hope, and an advocate for empowerment. I believe I am a gift to South Africa. I hold the key to the doors of opportunities, innovation, and creation. I am ready to lead by purpose, compassion, and vision. Inkomo Afrika Zonga.
When it comes to Ipeleng, who's next, I must say I was a little bit disappointed. Her Instagram only has like 10 posts, her TikTok only had like 3 when I was looking, and I just feel like I expect more effort from somebody who is trying to be Miss South Africa. If you're entering a pageant, people should be able to get to know you easily, especially now when we're doing all of the voting. Like, I hate that every single pageant is implementing voting, especially this early on. It's like, please find another financial model to suck the absolute rands and cents out of your audience. But anyway, she should be showing us who she is, what she likes to do, you know, a bit about her advocacy if she wants. I want to get to know you from your social media. You can't be vying for a national platform, but you have like 10 posts. You know what I mean?
Dumelang South Africa. I'm Ipeleng Madiba, 23 years of age, born and raised in Northwest. I'm a psychology and archaeology graduate from the University of Witwatersrand. As an archaeologist, I understand that history is more than just the past. It is the foundation of who we are. Yet today, many young South Africans grow up disconnected from that foundation. Studies across Africa show that a large portion of the school curriculum still prioritizes colonial history over indigenous knowledge. This highlights an imbalance that greatly contributes to low self-esteem and weak cultural identity. I believe that reclaiming our African history is essential to restoring our pride, confidence, and self-definition. Through this, we can foster independent thinking, celebrate African excellence, and empower future generations. As your Miss South Africa, I will use this platform to advocate for heritage education and authentic representation, ensuring that our children grow up understanding the value of their history and culture. By embedding African heritage into our education and daily life, we can build a generation rooted in pride, resilience, and purpose. Because true leadership begins with knowing who you are, where you're coming from, and confidently shaping where you're going.
When it comes to Katlego, same problem. She has like 5 posts, but at least they're high quality posts. I will admit, high quality posts with her entry video there, nice picture of herself, everything. She states that she is a candidate architect, which is impressive. There's no mention of her advocacy, but I would say when it comes to overall presentation of this one, there is hope there. There's potential there.
Hi, South Africa. My name is Katlego Malebye, but you can call me Kat. I'm a master's graduate in architecture, born and raised in Gauteng, and I'm currently working towards becoming a professional architect. Through my journey in a male-dominated industry, I've experienced what it means to fight for recognition. While working in this industry, I've had the opportunity to witness firsthand state projects where there is a backlog in delivering low-cost housing, and where cuts to budgets do more than reduce numbers on a spreadsheet. They strip away dignity from homes that already have so little. And when dignity is removed from the home, it is the youth that carry that burden. It is women, it is children, it is futures quietly being rewritten before they've even begun. I have seen young women grow up in spaces where survival is their only curriculum, where exposure is limited and dreams are too, where poverty doesn't just live in the homes, it settles into the mind. That's why I believe that the Miss South Africa platform is not just a crown. It is a catalyst. It is a catalyst to break cycles. It is a catalyst to rewrite narratives. I have stood in these communities as an observer of truth to the cruelty of poverty, and in that truth I have found my purpose. As your next Miss South Africa, my vision is to empower women to rise from passive residents to powerful architects of change. Because when women enter the built environment, we don't just build structures, we build futures where children can thrive and not just survive. Thank you.
Next is Kaylan. Of course, you would recognize Kaylan. She was in the top 5 of Miss South Africa 2021, and she is one of only 3 women who I talked about in my top 10 favorite entry videos to actually make it into this top 24 at Miss South Africa. We'll talk about, like I said, we'll talk about my other favorite entries later, because I can't believe that some of them didn't make it. We have to talk about it. Anyway, you know Kaylan, she's a fitness girly, she's all about fitness, and yeah, I'm pretty happy she made it, especially because she has proven herself before by getting into the top 5 at Miss South Africa 2021.
Hello, South Africa. I'm Kaylan Matthews, Coach K. I'm back. For years, I've trained hundreds of South African women. From the high energy in my group classes to my small, intimate community online. I've walked with them through every stage of their journey. As your Miss South Africa 2026, my goal is clear. I want to bridge the gap between the collective burnout we're all carrying and our real potential we actually have. And movement is how we do it. Women walk into my sessions visibly drained by life's pressures, and slowly they gain their strength back. Not just physically. They regain a sense of vigor, a sharpness that changes how they show up. By reclaiming this energy, it gives us the exact clarity we need to look beyond our own struggle and focus on something bigger than us. If we can get every young South African to commit to just 30 minutes of movement a day, we stop letting this fatigue run our lives. We show up with real discipline, we pour back into ourselves, and we close the gap. That is the exact energized leaders our country needs right now.
Next we have Miss Kendra. She is very natural, bit provincial, you know, very girl next door type of energy. She's married, you know, her and her husband seem to have just like the cutest relationship ever. I just don't know why she would want to enter Miss South Africa. I couldn't see anything about her advocacy or previous philanthropic works or anything like that on her socials. You know, no evidence of that. So I just wonder what her goals are for entering Miss South Africa.
Hello South Africa, my name is Kendra Horne. I'm 29 years old and I'm from the Western Cape. I'm currently abroad as I've just graduated with my master's degree, but I will be returning next month as South Africa will always be home. With a background in sports science and sports development, I've always been extremely passionate about using movement as a tool for empowerment and positive change. For many years, I've worked with children and women from different communities, helping them build confidence and hope through sport and exercise. I strongly believe that the change we so desperately need in our country starts at grassroots level with our youth. I once read a quote and it stuck with me ever since, and it is, "A child in sport is a child out of court." By instilling strong values, self-belief and opportunity in our youth, I believe we can help build a better future for our country. Living abroad has made me realize how I so long to serve the people of my own country again. This experience has really reminded me of the importance of mental health and human connection. With so many South Africans struggling with mental health and having experienced the devastating impact of it in my own life from a very young age, I want to create spaces where people, and especially our youth, can use sport and exercise as a means to improve physical and emotional well-being. I would be honoured to use the Miss South Africa platform together with Empower Youth Africa to advocate for health and wellness by focusing on mental health, youth development, and the power of sport to uplift communities. South Africa, I'm ready to serve and represent you with courage and purpose. Thank you.
Next we have Lesego, and her advocacy is allegedly all about health and wellness, but she is also the so-called CEO of an alcohol company, which those two things don't compute in my mind. Like, how do you call yourself the founder of an organization which promotes organ donation awareness, but you also call yourself the CEO of a company that sells a product that ruins people's organs? To be fair, both her foundation and her company are pretty irregular when it comes to activity. And you can also just say that that consistency in general is not a good sign for Miss South Africa.
In South Africa, thousands are waiting for life-changing organ transplants, whilst millions continue to navigate the realities of an unequal healthcare system. Behind every statistic is a family holding on to hope, a child waiting for more time, and a story that deserves more than silence. Sanibonani. I am Lesego Nyathela, a 30-year-old product of Johannesburg, a city that doesn't just raise you, but challenges you, and I choose to rise with purpose. Rooted in the ethos of Empower Youth Africa, I lead the Lesego Nyathela Foundation, aligned with SDG 3, advancing equitable access to healthcare, chronic illness awareness, and organ donation in South Africa. Through digital advocacy and outreach programs, we promote prevention, early detection, and organ donation while challenging stigma and systemic barriers that cost lives. As Miss South Africa, I'm stepping into a national mandate. I will use this platform to expand the work already being done by my foundation by leveraging influential networks and strategic partnerships to the advancement of healthcare, even in the most underserved communities. The work that we are doing is just the beginning. This platform has the power to transform a mission into a movement that touches lives in South Africa and ultimately the African continent. By aligning with the African Union Agenda 2063, positioning South Africa as a leader in a pan-African movement towards health sovereignty, we are actively building sustainable solutions and setting a new standard for impact across the continent. South Africa, the blueprint is ready. Let's get to work.
Next we have Makhosazana, aka Azana. She is a very successful South African musician actually, and I actually fell in love with her because of her entry video. It was so good, so well made. I just feel like she has such vision, and so I'm very happy that she made it into the top 24.
Sanibonani Ningizimu Africa. My name is Azana, a 25-year-old musician, law student, and philanthropist from KwaZulu-Natal who yearns for change within our rural and township schools. The gap of opportunities, access, and exposure between rural and urban schools often determine the trajectory of our children's lives. Rural and township schools struggle due to inadequate infrastructure, learning barriers, and lack of resources. Matriculants all get the same exam papers, yet only some have access to science and computer laboratories, libraries, proper sanitation systems, access to a chair and desk, or even a calculator, let alone extracurricular activities. As your Miss South Africa, I'm excited to continue fulfilling my purpose in partnership with the Miss South Africa organization by conducting specific case studies on underdeveloped schools and providing suitable and sustainable impact for a much better schooling experience for both learners and educators, ultimately transforming lives and restoring dignity within our communities. I look forward to serving you.
Next we have Modiegi, who is the producer of the Transitioning podcast, and no, it has nothing to do with transitioning gender. It's actually just about life in general. It has been pretty inactive since 2025 with its last post on February 19th, so I guess you can say it is sort of an inactive project for now, but I must say she's pretty beautiful with great features. There's not much to be said for advocacy, however, but yes, like I said before, she's good looking, so there is at least some hope for her at Miss South Africa this year.
I come from a Quintil 1 school where classrooms are overcrowded, resources were scarce, and when it rained, learning stopped because the roof leaked. Yet even in those conditions, there were children filled with brilliance, ambition, and untapped potential. 3 decades after our democracy, many learners are still in under-resourced schools and still expected to compete without access to basic learning tools, technology, or safe infrastructure. That should never be a child's burden to carry.
Because all a child needs is for someone to say, I believe in you. I am Modiegi Mashamaite, and I'm representing the next era of Miss South Africa.
Next we have Ndiwanga, who is the founder of Crimson Creative, which was only founded in January of this year and has only been decently active since like May when she entered Miss South Africa. Claiming to be a founder is so unnecessary, especially when the foundation in question is not very active or impressive at all yet. Not everyone needs to be a founder, especially when the foundation is only founded when you are starting to compete.
The world has evolved into a digital innovation hub, and with great urgency, we must rise with it. Digital literacy is no longer a privilege, it is a necessity. Good day, my name is Ndiwanga Muravha, a 22-year-old born and raised in Johannesburg, Gauteng, currently residing in Mpumalanga. I hold a Bachelor of Science in Agriculture and I am currently pursuing my master's degree. As the founder of Crimson Creative, I am equipping young people, individuals, and communities with practical digital skills awareness that unlock real economic participation. This spans across the digital creative space, including content creation, artificial intelligence, automation, and graphic design, to technical skills such as data analytics and software development, and further into brand building areas like website development, digital marketing, and e-commerce. My mission as your next Miss South Africa is to combat the digital divide by addressing not just the gap in skills, but the deeper gap in access and awareness, because many do not lack capability, they lack opportunity. Through seminars, community outreach, and strategic partnerships with entrepreneurs, businesses, and NPOs, Crimson Creative exists to ensure that even in the face of unemployment, young people can still participate meaningfully in the economy from wherever they are. This is more than digital skills. This is about restoring hope, creating access, and building a future where no one is left behind. I thank you.
Next we have Nongcebo. She claims to be an advocate for youth employment, but nowhere is there any evidence to back this up.
To be entrusted with the baton as Miss South Africa 2026 is a profound honor and a responsibility that I would carry with grace, purpose, and unwavering commitment. My name is Nongcebo Mngadi. I am beautifully 30 and thriving. I hold a Bachelor of Arts degree in Motion Picture Medium. I've had the privilege of working in a numerous amount of South African productions, spanning from reality TV, telenovelas, and live broadcast. I believe that arts is intelligent. As an arts practitioner, it would be a disservice to my industry if I wouldn't advocate for job sustainability within the film and television industry of South Africa. I am committed to exploring proactive approaches to creating job sustainability. Through Pan-African collaboration, I envision a creative economy that connects artists across the African diaspora. Equally, I am passionate about advancing women's health and wellness, particularly in the area of gynecological care. This advocacy is not one where I'm just only informed, but I am deeply personally touched. Living with endometriosis has illuminated the urgency of greater awareness, early diagnosis, and social change. Conditions such as fibroids, cysts, and endo go underdiagnosed and underserved, disproportionately affecting Black women in South Africa. This is not a health issue. This is about dignity, education, and social justice. With great intentions and service at core, I stand ready to be your Miss South Africa 2026.
Then there's Ofentse, who is supposedly a musician, but not in the same way as Azana. She's still like sort of up and coming. I don't know, from what I could see, there's not that much going on at the moment. And I would say the way that she is portraying herself, her overall look and aesthetic, it doesn't have the refinement of a Miss South Africa yet. I feel like she sort of entered Miss South Africa on a whim, you know, like, let me just enter, see what happens. And I'm not gonna lie, the American accent also caught me a bit off guard. I don't know where that's from either.
Hi South Africa. My name is Ofentse Palesa Precious Motaung. You might know me as just Precious. I'm 23 years old and based in Gauteng's City of Gold. And much like every other South African woman, I wear many hats. At home, I'm head chef, daughter, doctor, sister, counselor, aunt, mediator, personal assistant, executive director, party planner, and last but certainly not least, graduate. In 2025, I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree specializing in law, politics, business English, philosophy, communication sciences, and psychology. So if all works out, trust me, you'll be in good hands. Being middle class is like standing on the balcony between two worlds. The lower floor teaches you how to dream. The upper floor shows you who to call. And here you are stuck in the middle, with no elevator button to press, no one's handing you a golden ticket, and the staircase seems blocked. But that's exactly why your climb will be legendary. No pity, no shortcuts, no silver spoons, just the stubborn joy of proving that the climb is in fact possible, even if you have to build your own ladder. And nothing is sweeter than shocking the system. We stand on the shoulders of giants who fought to free South Africa, but freedom is only the beginning. The baton has now been passed to us, the fearless generation, not to guard her wings, but to teach her to fly. Our beautiful country survived oppression and exploitations, and there are enough abandoned buildings in our CBDs to tell you of all that she could be. I implore you to let me help you be the vessel through which she dreams, whether that be entrepreneurship, art, dance, music, theater, etc. Let's make room for South Africa to be great on the global stage, not just in trade, but in culture and creativity. If you're a graduate or a young person out there with dreams and nowhere to set them down, I would cherish the opportunity of being your next Miss South Africa, because I know what you need. It's exactly what I need. Space. Someplace to build, to put your skills, your ideas, your hopes, your dreams, your youthful energy and ambition in a way that services our country for the better. I hope I have your vote.
Then we have Palesa. I love the pixie cut. I feel like the pixie cut just suits her features so well. She also obviously gets bonus points for being a doctor. We love that sort of positive representation for our South African youth. But honestly, I think it would be best for her if she were to dye the pixie cut more of a light brownish color with some blonde highlights or streaks, sort of like she had it in 2022. A pixie cut is already a statement. It doesn't have to be ginger as well. Honestly, I I like her a lot. I think I can definitely see the potential of her at Miss South Africa. She just needs to glam it up a bit more. I mean, with a ginger pixie cut and pale skin, you cannot afford to be walking around unglamified, so she definitely needs to put some effort into the glam.
Dumelang, South Africa. My name is Palesa van Rooyen. I am 27 years old and I'm from a small town in the Free State called Hobhouse. I am a medical doctor by profession and a children's champion by heart. Now, working within the South African healthcare system has exposed me to both the resilience and the vulnerability of our children. One story in particular changed me forever. I cared for a little boy that had been severely abused. To be honest, he was beaten to a pulp by a caregiver, and no one on the medical team thought he would survive, but he did. And having the privilege of being involved in his recovery taught me that healing a child goes far beyond medicine. It requires protection, advocacy, and a system that refuses to fail our children. And so, I am entering Miss South Africa for that one little boy and the countless others whose voices remain unheard. I am entering Miss South Africa not as someone who claims to have it figured out, but as a woman that is committed to growing, learning, and using her voice to advocate for those who cannot advocate for themselves. I am finally choosing courage over comfort, purpose over perfection, and impact over appearance. And I am more than ready to represent a South Africa where every child is seen, protected, and given the opportunity to thrive. Thank you.
Next we have Sanelisiwe, who is a pharmacist. And yes, contrary to popular belief, pharmacists are impressive people. They are not just glorified cashiers. And she seems super sweet and friendly. She offers some plus size representation. I don't know if it's politically correct for me to say that, but she does. She just overall, I like her, but she doesn't necessarily scream Miss South Africa for me.
Hello, South Africa. My name is Sanelisiwe Diko, a 26-year-old pharmacist from Ipeleng in the Eastern Cape. Across our country, many people still face barriers to healthcare from distance, cost, and limited health literacy. And too often, patients take medication without full understanding, leading to preventable harm. And in the absence of trusted guidance, many turn into social media, where misinformation can be dangerous. That is why Ask Your Pharmacist matters. Pharmacists, they are amongst the most accessible healthcare professionals, yet many people are not empowered to engage with us as your healthcare partners. As your Miss South Africa, I will focus on bringing healthcare closer to people through community outreach and accessible health education, empowering people to ask questions, understand their medication, and take full control of their health. I am Sanelisiwe Diko, your next Miss South Africa.
Next we have Sibahle, who, if I'm going to be honest, her energy from her entry video is a bit masculine. I only half see the vision when it comes to her. I think with some refinement, she could be a good potential candidate for the crown.
Hi, South Africa. Sibahle Ngwenya, imbali eqhakaza ebumnyameni undela zimhlophe. A metallurgical engineer turned machine learning researcher. I hold a master's in engineering, and a portion of my current research involves the application of AI in easing the mental health burden faced by our country. My work lives at the intersection of an emerging industry and ancient ones, but so do I. A rural girl with rigor, soft yet structured, fluent in both Africanacity and Python. In every industrial revolution, women were the backbone of a world that forgot our contribution. That neglect is reflective till today in biased data, rooms not built by us, and the voices we think we need to silence in choosing one path over another. As Miss South Africa, I will pave those paths through teaching young girls technical creativity and strategy, exposing them to ethical AI practices, and opening a seat for the young African child in the 4IR entrepreneurship and leadership discussions. I want young girls to write the code that defines their future. I want them speaking a language of creation that our matriarchal lineage could only dream of. Thank you.
Next we have Simoné, who was such a pleasant surprise. She reminds me so much of Underneath Brown, who is competing at Miss Africa Beauty this year, which is the pageant in South Africa which handles Miss Universe and Miss World and Miss Supranational, so she's competing there. And Simoné very much reminds me of Underneath Brown, and they both remind me of Miss Sunday from Game of Thrones. I just think that she radiates joyous energy and she's so pretty. She's really one of the ones who gives me a lot of hope at Miss South Africa this year. Honestly, just looking at her and listening to her, I can see her as Miss South Africa.
Good day, South Africa. My name is Simoné Nongcebo. I'm 26 years old and currently pursuing my professional qualification in actuarial science. A journey that started through the power of education, exposure, and belief. I advocate for education as a whole, but more specifically foundational mathematical education, because I believe that math is about confidence, critical thinking, and access to opportunity. Too many South African children enter high school with the belief that mathematics is simply not for them. And over time, this belief has led to the lack of diversity seen in STEM fields, such as actuarial science, technology, and engineering. As Miss South Africa 2026, my focus would be on strengthening foundational reasoning and rebuilding mathematics confidence, specifically in communities that are under-resourced. This would be through mentorship, in creating spaces where learners are encouraged and supported to be inquisitive, and through digital tools, such as the platform I'm developing to help redistribute second-hand books across South Africa. Because I believe where access meets potential, trajectories can change. I want to help build a future where learners are taught to think, to question, to innovate, and to network. A future where we leverage technology and AI as tools of inclusion rather than privilege. And a future where young people from every community can confidently see themselves in STEM, roles of leadership, and in rooms they once believed were beyond them. I want to help change outcomes. And that is why I would want to partner with a Miss South Africa organization to help change beginnings. Thank you.
Next we have Sunshine. She's really cute. She has a very classy vibe about her, as if you could just drop her into a room full of wealthy patrons and sponsors and she would just flourish. She's an architect, but she's also really into art. I just think it's such a great thing that she is so into art and is posting about art all the time. I feel like that just makes her a very well-rounded woman. The world is so full of dull people nowadays with no interests, no hobbies, no personality, and I just love a girl who is into something, to be honest with you. The way that she is into art fully, and she's into travel. I mean, the girl is everywhere. I'm so low-key jealous. But yeah, I just like her a lot because she actually has an interest, which makes her interesting.
I hope there's room for one more. I know you've been watching these all weekend, but I hope there's room for one more. Sanibonani, South Africa. My name is Sunshine Tlangamandla. I am 29 years old, living in Johannesburg, yet born and raised in a small town called Springs in the far east rand of Gauteng. I come from a matriarchal home where women owned businesses, traded globally, and moved through the continent with courage. It is through that influence that I have now grown to be someone that moves through the world constantly, learning from different cultures, understanding histories that I wasn't taught in school, understanding cultures, African cultures, politics, histories, and things that make us more akin than we realize. It is through my experience in architecture, in lecturing, through traveling, that I've come to realize that South Africa's educational system does not prepare our youth to be leaders. As an architect, I am always thinking in the future tense, looking at the most recent anti-immigration marches and xenophobic violence that's taken the streets of South Africa. We are perpetuating a future where South Africa is divided from the rest of Africa. Should I get the opportunity to be your next Miss South Africa, my Empower Youth Africa strategy would be focused on civic engagement and Pan-African collaboration.
I aspire to implement the strategy by piloting decolonial educational material that is creative and accessible. My hope is that this initiative will heal our harmful perspectives of our continent, allowing our youth to imagine an Africa that is united, collaborative, and innovative. Business owners and economists are well aware that Africa is soon going to have 42% of the global youth population. I believe that a youth with Pan-African consciousness and decolonial educational backgrounds is a youth that can innovate. It is a youth that can steer its own destiny and author, finally for itself, the future of Africa.
Next we have Tebogo, and just judging by her reveal photo, I think she is such a nostalgic looking queen. She really reminds me so much of Miss South Africa in the 90s with her look. When you look further into her, in her bio, she has a link to something called Boss Queen Content, and I looked into it, but I don't really know what it's supposed to be. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. It doesn't seem to be like a podcast or anything. It's just like a collection of posts, and I don't think it's particularly impressive. But yeah, it's there. But I definitely think she has potential. I think that she would benefit from revolving her aesthetic and her looks around the 90s, you know, sort of vibe that her looks lend themselves so well to. I think that would definitely benefit her.
Did you know that 1 in 3 South Africans will experience a mental health condition in their lifetime? Hello South Africa, I'm Katlego Malebye, a 29-year-old investment specialist and marketer from Centurion, Gauteng, and I am running for Miss South Africa 2026. I am that 1 in 3. Since the age of 16, I've lived with Church, a mental health condition that causes me to pull out my beautiful hair. Because I am someone who always wants to put her best foot forward, I don't always allow myself the opportunity to express the challenges I face behind the scenes. Through crucial conversations with other individuals, I've come to realize that these mental health conditions are not isolated experiences. There are not enough safe spaces and mechanisms in place to allow us to openly express what we're going through. Think about how dangerous that is. Think about the negative impacts that'll have on our confidence, on our community building, on our decision-making ability, and most importantly, how we show up for our country. This is why I've decided to take a step forward into the Miss South Africa organization to cultivate a program aligned with the EYA that'll allow individuals to process, heal, and reclaim their voices through using creative mediums such as storytelling, drawing, dancing, and even journaling. These have all helped me to better manage my mental health, and I want to share that with you. Imagine the power you'll have over your mind when you start to reclaim your voice. South Africa, with the crown, I am your champion for change, and I will strive for a higher standard of mental health excellence for our people.
Next we have Tiyani, and she's pretty refined, I must say. I really like that. You can't expect to just enter Miss South Africa raw and expect them to whip you into shape. You have to be pulling at least some of your own weight and refining yourself as much as you can before entering Miss South Africa. She claims to be the founder of Hapsela, which was started literally just before she entered Miss South Africa. Does that suspicious timing make it less impressive? Maybe. But she's pretty, and she seems to have done at least some of the work before entering.
A call has been sounded for women across our country, a call I am answering on behalf of many of us. Hello South Africa, I am Tiyani Makamu. I am 27 years old from the township of Ipeleng in Bronkhorstspruit. I hold a triple major degree in communications, and for the past 5 years I've worked at the intersections of impact investing and marketing, supporting hundreds of small businesses across sub-Saharan Africa. Small businesses contribute close to 30% to our country's GDP and employ nearly 60% of our working population. They truly are the backbone of our economy. yet many of them remain underserved without the tools, resources, and support required to thrive and grow sustainably, resulting in many having to close their doors, further deepening the cycle of unemployment in our communities. This reality and the gaps I identified on the ground inspired me to founding and developing Hubsela. Hubsela is a free-to-use digital platform that helps entrepreneurs become funding ready, connect with thousands of suppliers across multiple industries, as well as have practical tools and assets to use day-to-day for their finance, marketing, and operations. Through the Miss South Africa platform and driving the adoption of solutions such as Hubsela, we have an immense opportunity to drive small business impact at scale. By helping entrepreneurs build sustainable businesses, we help protect the existing jobs, create new ones, and truly build onto the socio-economic dignity of our people. And that, Mzansi, is my bid to be your Miss South Africa 2026. Nakenza.
Next we have Unami. This is what I am talking about. She is so pretty. Oh my goodness. She has braces. You gotta love the representation when it comes to that. Her social media is on point. She just makes sense for the top 24 of Miss South Africa.
South Africa is not lacking talented young people. We're simply lacking opportunities, support, as well as access to unlock our full potential. Sanibonani, South Africa. Igama lami Unami Mthethwa. I originally come from the beautiful province of KwaZulu-Natal. I am 24 years of age and I'm currently residing in Johannesburg. Yet again, South Africa's unemployment crisis continues to rise from 31.4% to 32.7%, while youth unemployment has risen to nearly 46%. The youth is the most affected, despite being skilled, educated, or even willing to learn. As a graduate in communications and media majoring in marketing and branding, I've experienced this frustration of being told I need experience in order to get the job. I believe the solution starts with practical education, work-integrated learning, as well as entrepreneurship programs that will equip young people with real experiences and income-generating skills. Miss South Africa for me is not just a title. It's a platform where I can inspire, empower, and remind every young person that where you come from should never limit where you can go.
Lastly, the one you've been waiting for, Zwali's. Oh my goodness, guys. This one is such an incredible one. You guys know that I've talked about Zwali's in my previous video, all about my top 10 favorite entries, and I'm so happy she made it. She is just so incredible. Her advocacy game is on 1000. She has been working for the benefit of her community, for other people, since she was at least 16 years old. She's represented South Africa at Miss World before. She has this angelic beauty about her. I just feel like whatever metric you are sort of trying to gauge, she is a perfect fit. You know what I mean? I feel like Zwali's is such a great fit for the title of Miss South Africa, especially now that it's not so internationally focused. I feel like she just checks all of the boxes.
We all dream of a life rooted in peace and dignity, but this hope has been shaken by a hunger for power, and with it, the suffering of our people. Mzansi, I'm Zwali's van Rooyen, a 20-year-old humanitarian and law student from Gauteng, and I'm entering Miss South Africa to confront the realities we can no longer ignore. Last year, gender-based violence was declared a national disaster, reminding us that a strike against one life is a strike against all humanity. I'm lifting my shield of unity through my foundation, Never Too Young to Advocate, where we repair learning classrooms for vulnerable students. We have published a book teaching the youth about the power of individuality, and we partner with non-profits aiding SDGs 4 through 13. For anyone who has ever felt less than, know that your voice holds power, and together we can empower the world. As I take the courageous leap of becoming your next Miss South Africa, I will leave no stone unturned to ensure everyone feels protected, because safety is not a privilege, it's a human right.
So now that we've gotten all of the top 24 out of the way, we have to talk about the girls who entered that did not make it, starting with Yane van Dam. this one hurt me because, oh my goodness, where do I even start with her? She was top 5 at Miss Grand International, which is one of the biggest international pageants in the world right now. Representing South Africa, she got top 5, which is amazing. She's just so cute. She's pretty, she's well spoken. I don't know what the South Africa's problem is. Like, do they want to fight? Because I feel like Yane definitely deserved to make it into the top 24 at least. Same for Miss Mbali Dlamini. I don't understand why she didn't make it. She is so gorgeous. She's a pageant veteran. She's represented South Africa internationally before and done amazing. I don't know why she did not get into this top 24. This next girl as well who entered but didn't make it, Radine Jones. Guys, this one I took so personally because she just gives perfect Miss South Africa in the 2010s energy. I don't know where they missed her entry because she is so amazing. She has an incredible philanthropic history. She's so beautiful. She's so authentic and down to earth. I need to know who the people were who chose the top 24 for Miss South Africa and excluded Radine Jones. And then lastly, Lerato Tau, advocate Lerato Tau. I do not understand how this woman was excluded from the top 24 at Miss South Africa this year. She's literally an advocate. She, by profession, okay, and she has been giving back to society by offering mentorship programs, and she's so pretty. I don't get it how she did not make the top 24 of Miss South Africa this year. Did AI choose the top 24? Like, I don't understand what happened. Why some of the best girls were excluded, I do not understand. Also, why did they reveal the top 24 like that? You know what I mean? The pictures that they used for revealing the top 24 is literally just pictures that the girls have, or like have sent them, or like have on their social media, cut out and pasted onto like an AI background. Like, ew! Where is the photo shoot? You guys remember in 2020 we were literally up to our chins in COVID-19 and they still managed to organize a shoot. Even when everybody was everywhere in all different provinces, they managed to organize different shoots for everybody so that the reveal was ubiquitous and everybody had sort of the same background, sort of the same look. Miss South Africa, it's not that hard. Your previous owners did it in COVID. And also, since management changed, the Miss South Africa socials has been going downwards in quality. I'm sorry to say, it's just not fun to be a Miss South Africa supporter when they are not in touch with what the supporters are looking for. That's the thing, right, that I've also noticed a lot, especially in African countries. The people who own the pageants, they have a certain amount of wealth, they have a certain amount of money, and it is a business opportunity, to be fair. But you have to be so in touch what your audience wants, and a lot of them just are not in touch with what the pageant audience wants. Lastly, voting. Ew! I'm so sick of the exploitative practice of voting, especially when it's like since day one. Since you reveal the top 24, voting is now open. Do you know the cost of fuel? Do you know the cost of petrol? And yet you are asking people to be spending money on voting? How did pageants make money in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s when voting wasn't a thing? Go back to that. Go back to that. We are sick of always having to vote, and then the girls have to turn into salespeople because now they have to sort of show themselves to the public for votes. Not to mention the incredible unfairness that comes with voting, because obviously the votes cost money. The person who has more access to money is going to have more votes. It's not very democratic. So anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on Miss South Africa this year and their top 24, which they have revealed. Let me know what you guys think. Coming up, we are going to be talking about Miss Africa Beauty International, the newly crowned Miss Supranational South Africa, and then who is in the running for the titles of Miss Universe South Africa and Miss World South Africa. And it has taken me some time to get around to that video. Just as I was trying to do that video, Miss South Africa revealed their top 24. It took me so long to get through all of the top 24 and formulate my thoughts on them, because every 4 or 5 girls, I was just like, I can't believe that this person made it instead of Yane van Dam, instead of Lerato Tau, instead of Mbali Dlamini, instead of Redine George. You know what I mean? So yeah, it just took me a while. Sometimes I get a little depressed doing these sorts of things, but yeah. Let me know what you guys think about Miss South Africa. Honestly, even though all of my favorites entries did not make it, there are still some girls who pleasantly surprised me, and so I am pretty stoked for Miss South Africa this year, even though I feel like there were a lot of questionable choices when it came to this top 24. So let me know your thoughts. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.